thanks for everybody coming tonight. I appreciate you coming out on a cold evening. Good evening, and thank you for attending our public presentations on the ballot measures. That'll be on the April 8th ballot. For those that don't know me, I've seen many familiar faces, but for those that you don't, my name is Don Kearney, with Director of Parks and Recreation, and we're going to kick it off tonight with the Spellberg Park presentation and that ballot measure. Before we get started, I also wanted to let you know that we will stay on these timelines that you see to my right, and these have been publicly advertised as to when the presentations will occur, and so we do plan to stay on schedule from 6 to 6:30 with Spellberg. And then Snowgate's coming on at 6:30 to 6:50. 85th in Minnesota will be at 6:50 to 7:10. And Shade Places will go on from 7:10 to 7:30. For those of you who have not been to MariCar Community Center, welcome. There are restrooms, if you're wondering, around the corner to my right. And with that, the format will be each presentation will be started off with a video, an educational presentation. And then following that presentation, we'll be able to take questions. If we end up having more questions beyond the 6:30 time frame, we do need to get the other presentation going, so we can go out in the hallway or another meeting room if there are still questions. So with that, we'll start out with the Spellberg presentation, take questions, and then we'll move on to the Snowgate's presentation as well.
Hi, my name is Don Kearney, Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to talk to you today about the aquatics and the options being considered for Spellberg Park. We're here today to inform and educate you as a voter so you can make an informed decision on this item that will appear on the April 8th ballot. There's been a lot of planning, studying, and discussion regarding the replacement of the Spellberg pool the past few years. As we review the facts, feedback, needs, and various survey results, we propose constructing an indoor aquatic center at Spellberg to replace the existing pool as part of the 2013 through 2017 capital improvement program. As the City Council reviewed the proposed capital improvement program, they requested a citywide aquatic facilities master plan be completed before moving forward with the replacement of Spellberg Pool. The master planning process included a review of the existing public facilities, private aquatic facility offerings, a review of the changing city demographics since the last aquatics master plan was completed, and public input received during the master planning process. All of this information was used and analyzed to create a citywide 10-year plan for public aquatic facilities. The recommended plan provides aquatic opportunities for the entire city in the most prudent and efficient manner. The city hired Councilman Hunsaker and Associates to develop a citywide aquatic facility master plan. They are a national aquatic consulting firm that specializes in aquatic master plans. After doing the initial research and receiving input from the general public and focus groups, the consultant found the following. The traditional public pools are physically and functionally obsolete. Those would include Spellberg, Kuehn, and Frank Olson. There is also a need for indoor water due to the other indoor providers being at or near capacity and there being no current public indoor options. Because of the need for more indoor water, there's a lack of opportunities for year-round aquatic programming for a segment of the population, including children, seniors, veterans, and for swimming instruction. They also found that we have overlapping service areas with our existing outdoor public facilities and gaps in our service areas. The consultants recommended phase 1 of the master plan was to replace the existing Spellberg pool with an indoor aquatic facility. Doing this would replace an aging and obsolete pool in the park system. It would meet the immediate needs for public indoor water in the city, and its centralized location and 5-mile service radius would serve the entire community. In addition, its location to the VA hospital could provide warm water therapy opportunities and access for veterans and their families on a year-round basis. The Aquatic Facility Master Plan was completed in early 2013. A copy of the report can be found on the website at siouxfalls.org/parks. As an aquatic facility master plan was being developed in early 2013, the Spellerberg Outdoor Pool petition was developed and circulated in the community. In April 2013, the petition signatures were confirmed and presented to the City Council. The City Council then set April 8th, 2014 as the date for the election on the Spellerberg Outdoor Pool. The petition requires that the current outdoor swimming pool at Spellerberg Park be replaced by a new outdoor swimming pool. It also stipulates that the cost of the new outdoor pool cannot exceed $7.5 million. It must be built by December 31st, 2015 at the latest, and the size of the new outdoor pool complex, including parking, cannot exceed the current complex footprint by more than 20%. This ballot will accompany the city attorney's explanation on the ballot. A yes vote is for the construction of an outdoor pool complex, and a no vote is against the construction of an outdoor pool complex at Spellerberg Park. In July of 2013, the City Council approved a contract with TSP Architects and Councilman Hunsaker and Associates to develop conceptual plans of both an outdoor and indoor facility at Spellerberg Park to help inform voters what each facility would look like and how it would be located within Spellerberg Park. The outdoor facility concept conforms to the requirements set forth in the ballot initiative. The indoor facility concept is largely based on the recommendations from the Aquatic Facility Master Plan.
I'm Tori Miedemont, Park Development Specialist for the Parks and Recreation Department. The next few slides are the results of the conceptual work our consultants prepared. Let's start with the outdoor facility. Here's a site plan showing how it will fit on the site. Working from the top of the page, or from the north if you're familiar with the park, you can see that the existing picnic and playground area has been retained. The usable or flat open green space in the northern third of the park is retained as well. The tennis courts and basketball court would be relocated within the park close to the picnic shelter. The sand volleyball courts would be shifted slightly. The existing walkways around and through the park would be retained and enhanced. The sledding hill would also be left untouched and actually enhanced with more convenient parking. This is a floor plan of the proposed outdoor aquatic center. Working from the west, you can see 2 water slides, 3 25-meter lap lanes, a current channel, a zero-depth pool with spray nozzles and play features, the plaza area, and the bathhouse. There will also be about 179 parking spaces to handle the daily parking demand. The complex, with parking included, maximizes the space allowed per the Spellerberg Outdoor Petition. To give you an idea of the size of the pool, it is roughly the size of Laurel Oaks, minus the green space and sand play area. We also have some 3D images to give you a feel of how the facility will look. This is an aerial view from Western Avenue looking west. You can see the bathhouse in the foreground with the pool and the VA in the background. Here's another shot of the bathhouse from ground level looking west. The bathhouse mimics the design of the bathhouse at Drake Springs, our most recently built pool. This is a good shot of the zero-depth pool. You can also see the plaza area to the left and deck and grass area to the right. This is right after entering the facility through the bathhouse. This is a shot looking east towards Western Avenue. You can see the current channel to the left and the 3 25-meter lap lanes to the right. Just out of sight to the right are 2 water slides. Now look at the indoor aquatic facility. The site plan is essentially the same as the outdoor facility, with the only difference being the indoor facility is slightly larger due to the additional amenities being provided. We are proposing a 203 stall parking lot to handle the daily parking demands generated by the facility. Here's a look at the proposed floor plan for the facility. Working from the left, you can see an outdoor spray ground area and sun deck for the warmer times of the year. In addition to a warm water therapy pool, there are 2 water slides that run out on the deck. Next to that is a current channel. Also in this space are 3 25-meter lap lanes and a zero-depth pool with spray nozzles and interactive play features. There are also community rooms and a dry viewing area. Moving up and to the right, you can see a 50-meter by 25-yard pool. There will also be movable bulkheads to split the water body into 3 separate areas, which provides for a lot of programming flexibility. There are 2 1-meter diving boards and 1 3-meter board towards the far right. There's also seating for 500 off the deck. Now we have some 3D images to show you the different features. This is an aerial view from Western Avenue looking west towards the VA hospital. This is a closer view of the front door looking west from ground level. This is a shot of the recreational side of the building. In the foreground, you can see the zero-depth pool with 3 25-meter lap lanes immediately to the left. In the background, you can see the 2 water slides. There's also a lot of glass in the building to allow in natural light. This is from the far west side of the recreational area. You can see the therapy pool to the right and the current channel to the left. Out past the windows to the right, you can see the outdoor sun deck. This is a look from the outside of the building. To your left, you can see the outdoor spray ground, and further to the right, you can see another view of the sun deck. This is a shot of the 50-meter by 25-yard pool. The bulkheads are to one end, but this pool can be split into 3 different bodies of water. In the far left corner of the picture, you can see the diving boards. To the far right corner, you can see the elevated seating and office space.
So, how do the outdoor and indoor facilities compare? First, let's look at it from a usage point of view. An outdoor pool could be open up to 90 days out of the year, depending on weather. The indoor facility would be open 360 days per year. The outdoor pools are typically open 8 hours per day, while the projected indoor pool would be open for 15 hours per day. That equals 720 hours of availability for the outdoor pool and 5,400 available hours for the indoor pool on an annual basis. The Aquatic Facility Master Plan projects that the bather load capacity of the outdoor facility is 330, compared to 583 for the indoor facility. Based on an approximate turnover rate of 2.5, the daily bather load capacity is 831 for the outdoor facility and 1,520 for the indoor facility. Now, a couple numbers on costs. The estimated net cost per hour to operate the outdoor facility is $209, compared to $128 for an indoor facility. The estimated cost to build the outdoor facility is $7.5 million, while the cost to build the indoor facility is $19.4 million. We also wanted to compare the amenities in the concept plans. Both facilities will have zero-depth pools, lap lanes, water slides, a current channel, and outdoor spray features and sun decks. On top of that, the indoor concept also includes 3 diving boards, a therapy pool, and multi-purpose rooms. In addition, it would also have a 50-meter pool with 2 movable bulkheads that allows the pool to be divided into 3 bodies of water for programming flexibility.
I'm Mike Cooper, Director of Planning and Building Services for the City of Sioux Falls, and I'll be talking about parking and traffic impacts from the 2 proposed facilities. Another question that was raised during our Spellerberg neighborhood meetings was parking. The concept plans include parking lots sized according to projections found in the Aquatic Facility Master Plan. The outdoor facility concept shows a 179 stall parking lot, while the indoor concept shows a 203 stall parking lot. Our city traffic and engineering staff researched similar facilities in the region and found that the proposed parking lots for both facilities were adequate to meet the daily parking needs. City traffic engineering also analyzed the parking needs for potential swim meets that could occur if an indoor facility was built. They collected data from a 4-day swim meet at Frank Olson Park in 2013 and found that on average 250 parking spaces are needed on a daily basis during the swim meet. It also was believed to be the largest swim meet ever held in the state of South Dakota during that time. When looking at available parking, they identified 87 on-street parking spaces on the park side of Western Avenue, 22nd and 26th Streets, in addition to the 203 parking spaces in Spellerberg Park. When factoring in the additional 87 parking spaces that would be on the streets and the 203 available spaces within the park itself, that would actually exceed the demand for a swim meet without having to use neighborhood street parking. We would also not be using the VA hospital parking lots during a swim meet event. It's common that we would see typically 2 to 3 swim meets held annually for our facility. In addition to the parking, city traffic engineering also looked at what would be the projected traffic impacts that each facility would generate along Western Avenue compared to existing traffic flow. We found that traffic will not increase as a result of the indoor facility when compared to the existing outdoor pool because the traffic will be spread out over a longer period of time throughout the day. We did find that traffic could increase by about 100 cars per day with the new outdoor pool concept plan when compared to the current outdoor pool facility.
Hi, I'm Tracy Turback, the City Finance Director for the City of Sioux Falls. Now that you've heard about the two options and understand how the indoor and the outdoor facilities compare with each other, let's consider financing. As you saw earlier, the estimated cost for the outdoor facility is $7.5 million. The indoor facility estimated costs are $19.4 million. In the capital plan that the City Council adopted last fall, the outdoor facility is not considered. And so if the decision ultimately is made to move forward with an outdoor aquatics facility, the capital plan would need to be amended and the money would need to be appropriated by the City Council. Now that long-term capital plan that the Council did approve last fall does provide for an indoor aquatics facility. The plan provides funding of $6.4 million from available cash, with the balance to be funded by the sale of sales tax revenue bonds. Two other key points to remember in regard to the indoor facility: the operating costs for that indoor aquatic facility have been included in the city's long-term financial forecasting models, and no tax increases will be needed to pay for the construction of the facility.
Thank you for allowing us to share this information with you today. If you have any questions, you can email us at spellerberg@siouxfalls.org.
All right, what kind of questions do we have? Cheryl?
This is a question on the financing. Has the city council already approved the $6.4 million cash for an indoor pool, or is it simply a placeholder in the CIP?
It was approved as part of the capital plan. However, it's important for everybody to realize that the financing for the bonds would have to be approved by the city council should this ultimately decide to move forward with an indoor facility. And so the sales tax dollars are committed towards the indoor aquatic center project, and the balance would obviously have to be bonded for.
So it is a placeholder? Because the 2014 CIP budget has not been approved yet.
It has. It has.
Oh, 15, I'm sorry, 15.
The 2014 has
Right.
the balance of it, as you know.
But the
Cheryl.
6.4 million.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is in 2014, correct?
And the 6.4 million is in the 2014?
Correct.
Or no? Would it be accurate to say that depending on the outcome of the vote, the 6.4 million could be used either for the indoor or the outdoor pool, depending on how the council would vote?
If the council decides to move forward with the outdoor facility, they would have to appropriate money for that facility. And so it would take council action, whether it be the indoor or the outdoor facility. In either case, the council has additional action that they would have to take to be able to move forward with either one of the projects.
I got a question about the whole process here tonight. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Bruce Danielson, the resident of Sioux Falls. been involved in political campaigns of all different types, issues, and candidates for almost 50 years in South Dakota. And and a group of us recently got together and started a new petition drive to clarify what can be done on the part of the city in these types of events, where we have citizen-driven issue before the people to vote on. And so we banded together to create the new organization that I'm now the chairman of, that's called Citizens for Integrity. And the city of Sioux Falls is legally required to only supply in written form a simple, clear language statement of what a yes vote means and what a no vote means, and that's it, nothing more, nothing less. The 4 ballot measures have not been legally presented to the people who are expected to vote on them in 35 days. The people have been presented with an unbalanced advocacy education videos and public pronouncement by city officials. We have a couple examples here, and one of them being, this is from the Secretary of State's office for the 2012 ballot questions. This is essentially what is allowed on the ballot to come from the city. Either the city attorney's office needs to send out the pro and con language for these statements so that the people of Sioux Falls have it in written form what these mean in clarity. And we don't have any of that yet.
Sir, there's a brochure right there that has all of that printed.
Is it this? Now, the other question on this is the people of Sioux Falls, as the people of South Dakota, are offered, if they put an initiative on the ballot, they're offered a chance by the city attorney's office or from the Secretary of State's office, and it's approved by the Attorney General's office, and in this situation, in the city attorney's office, to go through and look at each one of these ballot measures and approve the pro and con language. Because it's a citizen-driven effort, and there's certain laws in the state of South Dakota that require clarity, and we haven't seen it yet. And if you would like this copy from David Feifley's own email on what the state law is and the city code in this issue is, we'd be happy to supply it. Now I'll let you go on with your meeting, but I just wanted to make sure that statement was made.
Thank you for your feedback, appreciate it. Other questions about the presentation? Yes.
I have a question about the fee structure, what indoor pool fee structure would be like. I grew up in a town, Brookings, that had a public indoor pool available, which provided an opportunity for a lot of kids to learn to swim, which is a very important skill to have, especially when we have so many lakes and places to swim here in South Dakota. And I think that was incredibly important for me personally, and I taught many kids as a lifeguard in Brookings that would not have been able to learn to swim if not for an indoor public facility. So I was curious, and of course we know that 30% of kids in Sioux Falls are qualified for free and reduced lunches, so clearly there's a large population of kids that would benefit by having a similar fee structure to the outdoor pool. So would that be the situation for an indoor facility as far as what it would cost to be able to go in the pool?
Yeah, that's a good question. All the projections that we have in the aquatic facility master plan are based on our current fee structure that our consultant used. And essentially what that is, an example would be a child that costs $15 to use the pools during the summertime. And so what we are currently proposing, and the way the numbers are calculated in our projections, is that each season, there will be 4 seasons, and so for $60, a child can swim year-round at all of our public aquatic facilities based on our current rate structure. Council hasn't set the rates on the indoor or outdoor aquatic center, depending on which one is moving forward. But no, that's currently how we've based our fee structure, and that's the guidance we provided to our consultant. And that would be the same with the other family, individual, senior passes as well. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is John Mayfius. I'm a registered voter in Sioux Falls. And I have a question about the video presentation we just watched. I believe it was Mike Cooper of the Department of Planning and Services provided some information about parking and traffic. And we've been In the course of this video, information was presented about a new replacement outdoor pool and another option, and the impact of traffic on both. The option that is in contrast to a new outdoor pool indicates that it'd be a facility that would have twice the length of operating hours daily, 15 hours approximately, 4 times the number of days open annually, a higher daily bay to load capacity, increased number of parking spaces, etc. However, the information of research and traffic studies seems to indicate that traffic would actually be lower for that alternate facility. It seems to defy common sense or a seat of the pants summary. I'm wondering if a definition of the word traffic as it's used in the context of this study might be indicated or helpful to the public of exactly what that means.
Yeah, I think I'd defer to Heath and or Mike. Heath Hofteaser is over here in the purple. Heath did a lot of calculations, did a lot of studying on what the trip generation and the parking and traffic requirements would be. Heath, can you speak to the definition of traffic? I think is what his question was.
The definition of traffic, as it's presented here, is the number of vehicles that would come to the site and leave the site on a given day. And the projections are based off of the attendance, basically that's projected by Councilman Hunsaker and the master plan that was done. So we based it, I'm not really, I wouldn't say haven't had a lot of experience with pools, so I went off of what they were projecting for attendance at the pools is what we used to determine traffic.
Other questions? Yeah, Charlie, I'll get you next.
Hi, I'm Tom Munster, and I just want to thank you, Don, and the city staff for putting this together. I think it's helpful. I'm a veteran. I've been receiving health care at the VA for 13 years, and I think it's a great facility. There were a couple points that were made in the presentation that I'd like you to address. I recently had a conversation with Darwin Goodspeed, who's the director of the VA hospital, and I asked him about veterans receiving water therapy treatment at the pool. He stated that there was no way that he could send veterans from the VA to this facility, that they had contracts in place with other indoor facilities that had certified water therapists in Sioux Falls. So I'd like to know, on what basis do you make the claim that veterans could receive health care treatment at this facility? The second question that I have is, it was mentioned in the video presentation that no parking would be used at the VA facility for the aquatic center. However, isn't it true that the city of Sioux Falls, the Parks Department, released a plan showing that they had targeted the VA's parking as potential spots for the aquatic center? Thank you.
Yeah, the answer to the first question is that we believe that veterans can benefit from a therapy pool in a proposed indoor aquatic center. It would be the first and only public pool that will be available for the general public to be able to use. Whether that's a contracted service through the Veterans Administration in the hospital, or whether that's people that happen to be visiting the VA for any particular purpose, whether it be recreation or therapy. I do think there's a great opportunity for us to be able to potentially partner with the VA. If it's a certified therapeutic specialist that needs to be, is the criteria for providing therapy programs for veterans. I'm confident that we'll probably be able to provide that level of service. The other thing I'd share with you is that the initial plan that you talked about is that we believe from staff at the VA that early on in this discussion that they were willing to offer up a parking lot adjacent to Spellerberg Park that could be used for it. But that plan is totally off the books. That happened after our second meeting. There wasn't communication, I don't believe, through the VA ranks that discussion was going on with our consultants. And so that plan is completely off the table. We have no intention to use the VA parking for the pool. I think we've hit our 6:30 time.
Pizza?
Pizza in the hall, maybe.
Too late?
Well, we can go out in the hallway there
Gotcha.
and finish up. Thanks for coming.
Let
Appreciate
people
you
know
being
the brochures here.
Oh, yeah, and we have brochures on all of the ballot measures at the back of the room. If you have other questions about Spellerberg, be glad to take them out in the hallway as well.
Hello, I'm Galen Hubert, the Street Fleet Manager for Public Works. Today I'd like to talk to you about two things. One is the ballot question on snow gates that you're going to see in April, and the other is how we went about over the last 3 winters testing, and then also the results of those snow gate tests that we did do. So let's start out with the ballot question. This is the wording that the city received along with the signatures on the initiative to implement snow gates. This is what you will see on the ballot in April. And just a brief explanation on what this means. If the voters approve this initiated measure, then the city would use snow gate devices to aid in the snow removal program for streets within the city of Sioux Falls. A vote yes is for the use of snow gates in the city's snow removal program. A vote no is against the use of snow gates in the city snow removal program. So let's talk about how we went through and tested snow gates, and then we'll get into the results of those tests. First of all, what is a typical winter in Sioux Falls? The typical winter is approximately 43 inches of snow, which means I have to plow out the city approximately 5 times. So what is a snow alert then when I do declare a snow alert? A snow alert means that we go in and we plow every street within the city of Sioux Falls. There's approximately 3,000 lane miles within the city of Sioux Falls, and it takes just under 30 hours to plow out the city on an average basis. As you can see from this slide, this is the 3 winters that we actually tested snow gates, and you can see the first winter was a very typical winter for us in which we had 6 snow alerts and we had 45.6 inches of snow. The other 2 winters were a lot less snow than what we normally would receive. We also tried to take a look at when we were using snow gates, we tried to spread it out throughout the entire city. We tried to go into mature areas of town where the streets are a little bit narrower. We also tried to go to the outer city limits of the city where the streets are a little bit wider and the lots are a little bit larger. We also tried to get different types of configuration of streets, hilly streets, streets with curves, flat streets. Also, we could get a good measure on how snow gates would work. And over the 3-year process, we basically tested 20% of the city streets with snow gates. So what did we consider when we were out using the snow gates? First of all, we want to know the snow amount per event, the type of snow, and by that I mean if it's a wet snow or a dry snow, the total snow accumulation for the event, and then again we get into the street characteristics as far as narrow streets, wider streets, how wide the driveway is, the spacing between driveways, and then the type of equipment that we use as far as the snow gates themselves, and then the operator experience. One other thing that we took a look at was the private contractors. Private contractors provide 40% of our snow removal operation during a snow alert. And so we had to take a look at their coordination as far as shifting, communications, fueling, and their repair and maintenance. So what did we learn from snow gates? We found out that it does effectively reduce snow in driveways and intersections up to a certain amount of snow. Normally that point for us in Sioux Falls is right about 6 inches. Anything below 6 inches, it worked very effectively. Above 6 inches, the efficiency went down. Also, the difference between wet snow and dry snow. Dry snow was, we were able to blade off with snow gates a lot easier than wet snow. Wet snow tended to hang up in the blade and it was harder for it to discharge away from the blade. And then again, cul-de-sacs are hard without snow gates, and with snow gates it added another challenge for us. The other thing that we also seen was that streets will be narrowed throughout the winter using snow gates. We also seen that using our 6-wheel drive motor graders was essential to make sure that we were able to push the snow as close to the curb as we could. And then also the operator effectiveness improved greatly with experience. Each year that we tested, I used the same operators, and every year they became more efficient on how they were able to operate the snow gates. And then also the teamwork that's required with contractors. We tested 2 different types of snow gates during this 3-year process, and the Hinky snow gates performed the best. They allowed us to get to the curb the closest. They were engineered so they fit our moldboard better, and it allowed us to also clean the gutter pan better than with the other snow gate. What are the snow gate opportunities that you'll see? Snow gates do reduce snow in the driveways. snow gates do reduce the snow in the intersections. As we go through an intersection, we'll close the gate and pull the snow all the way through instead of leaving a windrow and discharge it when we get on the other side. And then we did receive a lot of positive feedback from the public on snow gates. What are some of the risks that we may experience with snow gates? It's going to increase our time. We have to drive slower with snow gates in order to keep the snow in the blade. And there's also potential for more breakdowns because snow gates have hydraulic hoses and parts in them that can break down. So it could add to the delays. And then also the logistics of working with contractors and snow gates. Another one of the risks that we may experience is narrowing of the streets. What type of risk would this cause? Certainly our main goal is safety, and not only for the driving public, but also for the first responders out there. We want to make sure that the streets are wide enough so they can get their equipment through the street, especially like fire trucks. The other thing it may do is it may cause us to eliminate on-street parking during the winter if the streets do get too narrow. It will cause us to have to do a lot more plowbacks because of narrow streets, and with drifting, the drifts will come out onto the driving lanes a lot quicker, which means we'll have to react to it. And some of the things that we're seeing right now is we get snow melt, the inlets are plugged, and the water doesn't have any place for it to basically to leave the street. And we're going to have to go out and open up those inlets to physically get the water to drain off the streets. So those are some of the risks that you may experience with narrowing streets. Some of the flexibilities that we may have to have with snow gates is limiting their use. We may have to limit their use if we receive a snow event of over 6 inches. Again, we want to make sure that the streets are clean and safe once we go through them. And we were experiencing situations with over 6 inches of snow that there's so much snow going over the blade and around the blade, it didn't even look like we were plowing it. So we may have to limit it with more than 6 inches of snow. And also in streets where the snow is starting to narrow it, we may have to eliminate using snow gates on certain streets during the winter season. The test data has two concerns. One of them is that 2 of the 3 years were very mild winters, and we didn't get a lot of data from those 2 mild winters. And the actual financial results may vary based on winter conditions and identifiable variables within the winter. What did we consider as far as costs when we were looking at snow gates? We looked at the plowing costs, which includes fueling, labor, materials, and then the initial cost of purchasing the snow gates, and then thirdly, the cost of picking up the snow. What we found out from the data once we collected it, as far as fuel consumption goes, depending on the type of snow, if we have a really dry snow, we had very little additional fuel consumption with snow gates. As we got heavier and wetter snow, the fuel consumption did increase with the use of snow gates. Operational times was showing that same type of curve. If we had dry snow, it wasn't taking us that much longer to do this entire city with snow gates versus the heavy wet snow. When we had to go and plow the city out, it took longer. And then again, that associates along with the time. We can plow the city out normally in less than 30 hours. With snow gates, it's probably going to take us a little over 30 hours. What are the estimated costs for operating snow gates within the city? There's a one-time cost of purchasing the snow gates. We estimate that we'll need 33 snow gates for $198,000. And then the annual cost that will go along with operating snow gates would be the fuel, the labor, the equipment cost, the contractors, installation, maintenance, and replacement of snow gates, which amounts to about $325,000. And then one of the things that we seen the first winter, when we had a very average winter of 46 inches, we actually had to go in and pick up snow on some residential streets that we normally don't pick up snow on. So estimating that we're going to have to go in and pick up some of these streets, we're putting a dollar amount of anywhere from $0 to $290,000 to do additional snow pickup. And this would be primarily around school zones to provide for the safety of children when they're being dropped off and when they're being picked up. So the total annual cost to operate snow gates within the city of Sioux Falls should range somewhere between $325,000 and $615,000 on a yearly basis. I hope this has helped you to understand how the operation of snow gates worked within the city of Sioux Falls, the data that we collected, and also the results. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact either Mark Cotter, the Director of Public Works, or myself. Thank you.
Sorry, the video took off before I was ready. I'm Galen Huber, and I'm the one that manages the street department and basically overseeing the testing of the snow gates over the past 3 winters. So if there's any questions, I certainly entertain trying to answer those as best I can.
Will they be used for other food? Terrible joke, I'm sorry.
Actually, it's a legitimate question. The speller for full emergency snow routes, they will not be used on. Emergency snow out routes, they won't be used on. Only on residential streets. Yeah. So it was a legitimate question. Any other questions about snow gates? Mike, it looks like I'm at TV last time.
We won't get started on the next topic until
6:50 is when we'll do the next presentation.
That started right double click on it. Because Dodge just...
we had this, we got to test it.
Okay. So you guys had it running. So basically, all I had to do is just be prepared that when I click it on, it's going to go. I introduce myself first before I click it on.
But it's at the beginning of the video.
Okay.
Hi, Heather.
Yes.
Hi, my name's John.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. News conference at City Hall this evening. I just wanted to let you know.
It was, it was a neat project. I think everybody worked together really enjoyed working together.
Question for the city issue.
What's that? How are you doing tonight? Pretty well, thank you.
So, the video presentation starts at a handful of minutes. It's real hard to start, especially the first night.
I didn't recognize you.
Yeah, I'm going for my
Santa Claus. We had the Dynasty.
The video wasn't cut short because it started.
Things going well for you?
Yeah, I like it. So it was limited by the hour of the day, which was
keeping you busy?
clearly stated and understood how you need to.
Oh, yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Gosh, now look what we have, 5 minutes, which is totally unforeseen. You can't predict the
He was confirmation.
But maybe moving for these subsequent meetings. Well, I wonder if you want to, according to this schedule, you know, if Spellberg should get 14 minutes, it's, you know, for questions afterwards, just according to the schedule.
Well, maybe we can have Ron start the introduction a little bit before 6 and just start the 6.
You know what, that
Is
worked
that
too.
okay with you?
Yeah.
Because I guess I wasn't expecting that people would know the time frame for the questions. I was just expecting people would know the time frame for the whole presentation.
Right.
But if you want some additional time for that question.
I think, you know, for some of us that are very interested in these issues and recognize that on a given evening meeting, that 14 minutes is, it's very much a finite period of time. It's a shorter period of time than the video presentation, you know, to perhaps ask questions that substantiate a challenging point of view. The time's important.
Okay. Well, I think I'll propose to Don then that we just go ahead and start the video right at 6, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback. We'll want to make sure that you have enough time to provide that input.
Good deal. I got my question in tonight, but I know there was another gentleman that was ready to ask the question. And there's a little bit of difference in terms of the opportunity to ask a question in the midst of the audience, rather than just taking the question outside, because
No, I just said.
For the benefit of the audience as much as for our own.
Yeah, should have.
Right. Okay, we'll definitely think about that for next week. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Well, you gotta decide how I want to go here. Keep talking to you. Yeah, seeing you. Sounds good. They weren't alternated?
Is there third Monday?
Dude, I saw up on 26th Street going up the hill from Marysville to the west, or up the hill. Somebody started building a fence there last fall, which is, it's right by the sidewalk.
And it's just the posts?
Yeah.
Why was that?
Somebody said you can't build a fence there.
Right, and they went to a board, and the board said you can't build a fence.
I don't understand that. You go one block in either direction, there's 6 fences on the other side. Why did they decide that?
And that particular, on Dakota, and that block, there was one, it's just that block, because those, lots are shorter, they're smaller. And
So are they waiting for shade places and shade places got built there?
they could not, I don't know what they're doing there. They couldn't build it, they'd have to make it nicer. Shade places would allow it if they put like fancier posts in between, you know, like it had some kind of capping on the posts in between. Or if they did a 5-foot fence set back a little bit, so there's more options. But they still couldn't, with shade places, yeah, but they still couldn't do just a 6-foot fence at the property line any more than they could do it now. But they could do it if they made it nicer, you know, like wrought iron, or, yeah, or like masonry, posts, pillars. So
Excited?
Very excited.
There's 8 more. Are you gonna, or 7 more? Are you gonna come to all of them?
Well, I don't know. That's kind of out of my hands.
That's out of our hands.
Till next week.
They've got some.
See what he says. Say, Heather said you should have to
And that
cover all of
particular
them.
guy, his
And he'll
mom's
do
son
it.
and car.
That would be an interesting challenge, to find a different focus for all of them.
Well, they're different parts of town. I mean, different people show up for each one.
You would hope. That's the goal.
Right, exactly. That would be the goal there.
Taking time out.
We are starting our presentation on time, and there were no questions, no games. 0.
I figured that. I actually prognosticated.
You guys making the rounds?
Just happen to be in the neighborhood.
Just, yeah.
That was my prognostication.
That's one of the things just like we were talking about. No one.
I'm totally gonna have to go just to help get out there.
Put some drama.
I'm sure the agenda is too. Other than I don't have to do a presentation this time.
Out of the 4, Heather, that was my prognostication. That was my only prognostication. That was my only biggest. That was my only biggest.
There are some risks to it. There are some risks to it. Make me think about it.
Well, they went through my neighborhood, so.
Did it work good?
30 seconds.
My neighborhood ever.
Okay.
No, what is it?
You want to introduce yourself?
This group.
It's waiting for them.
Okay, at 6:50, our next presentation will be in regards to commercial zoning at 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue. My name is Mike Cooper with the City Planning and Building Services. department, and after the video, I'll be available for questions. Hello, I'm Mike Cooper, Director of Planning and Building Services for the City of Sioux Falls. Today I'll be talking about the referendum on commercial zoning at the corner of 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue. Last fall, the City Council passed an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls rezoning property at the southwest corner of 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue from agricultural to the planned commercial, office, and recreation conservation districts. The ballot will have a yes or no vote available. If you support the commercial zoning taking effect at 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue, a yes vote is in favor and a no vote is against. The area shown is the 39-acre site at 85th and Minnesota Avenue that was rezoned to the commercial, office, and recreation conservation districts. This is in the southwest corner of the intersection of those two streets. The two exhibits show the existing zoning on the left, which is agricultural, and the proposed zoning on the right, which again is a combination of office, commercial, and recreation conservation. At the time this zoning was presented to the City Council, a site plan was completed showing the proposed south side Walmart, along with 8 smaller lots for commercial or office development, as well as 3 stormwater drainage ponds. The zoning consideration was based in part on conformance with our comprehensive plan. This plan is the overall growth management plan for Sioux Falls development, extending out to the year 2035. The City Council adopted that plan in December of 2009, and the proposed zoning would be consistent with that plan, which shows this corner of 85th and Minnesota Avenue as a sub-regional employment center. An employment center size is determined by the type of streets as well as access points along those major streets. This shows the future development plan for Sioux Falls, including the roadways by type, as well as employment centers in the vicinity of 85th and Minnesota, which would be a sub-regional, as well as other smaller employment centers, which would be neighborhood or business park. A sub-regional employment center is intended to draw commerce not only from the City of Sioux Falls, but also from outside of the community. This type of employment center is typically located at the intersection of major arterial streets or adjacent to an interstate. And in this case, both 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue are major arterial roadways. Once again, the zoning exhibit shows the proposed zoning that was approved by the City Council that would include a combination of planned commercial, office, as well as recreation conservation. And finally, a reminder that the ballot will have a yes or no vote for this item. Do you support the commercial zoning taking effect at 85th Street and Minnesota Avenue? A yes vote is for the commercial zoning to take effect, and a no vote is against the commercial zoning taking effect. If you have any questions about this item, or if you would like additional information, you can contact the City Planning Office at 367-8888. Okay, we have 7:10 if anybody has any questions. And I'll remind you that if you haven't, you can take one of these ballot questions. And what's good about these were put together by the city attorney in terms of the explanation of each of these ballot questions. In this case, the 85th in Minnesota is called Referred Law 4. And we also have the city attorney's explanation for that informational brochure. Our next presentation will start at 7:10, which is on the Shade Places zoning ordinance.
Is it determined how these will be placed?
The question is, have they been determined? The order, I don't know that they have
On
been
the
yet.
actual ballot.
I can't answer that, I
You
don't
don't know
know.
the order.
I think there's some kind of a drawing process, but I
Yeah,
don't
there
know
is.
for sure when that will be done.
That hasn't happened yet.
Tuesday at, what is
At
it?
7.
7, something like that, I think.
So they'll draw for the order?
They'll draw for order.
Okay.
For candidates and
Candidates.
and the issues.
And the ballot.
Although I think the issues will be A, B, C on the, what we call it, the charter issues will be A, B, C, of course. But the other ones will probably get drawn in order.
Are the charter issues on this?
Yeah. No, I don't know if they are.
No, they're not on
they
this.
are. They are. There's 3 of them.
Hi there.
You familiar with what they are?
I haven't, this is the first I've heard about it. Are they?
The first
put
two
together?
just basically change the date that the term of office takes place for the newly elected mayor, and you can help me with this, Heather, on the charter issues. When that is, it will end up being the day of the meeting of the 3rd week in May. Rather than saying it has to, it was Monday, and of course, we're not meeting on Monday now, we're meeting on Tuesday. So that would mean, when do we get these guys installed and everything? So we'll just change it to the first meeting of the 3rd week. I think that's kind of the wording, first meeting of the 3rd week in the 3rd week of May. So, you know, a snowstorm would hit or something like that, we could say, okay, we're gonna cancel this one and meet on Thursday and do it at that time. And the other one, the C, is an amendment to require the city's attorney. They are approved, shall we say, or voted on by the council when they are appointed. We have consent and, what do they call it? Where we
Advise and consent?
What?
Advise and consent?
Advising consent, well, we either say yes or no, you know, 99, 9.9, I don't know that they've ever said no. But if the mayor would decide that during this 4-year term, that he decided he wanted to get rid of the city attorney, we would also have to give advice and consent to fire the attorney during that 4-year term also, because the attorney not only works for the mayor, but he also works for the city council. He's the city's attorney, not just the mayor's. You know, and so we felt it would be important to have that leeway, if you will, or that amount of checks and balances. Let's put it that way. You got a question?
Yeah, probably a strange one, but so can the mayor have enough sway in his office that if you want to keep your job, you'll either agree with me or
You mean in the?
in any of them?
You want to answer that? No, you don't.
I disagree with it. Why? You're
Yeah.
not his hands that fired me yet,
Yeah.
so.
You're probably better looking than he is.
Yeah, pretty much. But he's, no, he has not, but he can right now. He can just say, you're done. He serves at the will of the mayor. And when he's under attorney, we should have a little say.
Okay, so
That
now
makes
he
sense.
can't
Now
do
he
that.
can, yes.
With this change, he couldn't say.
He couldn't. He'd have to come to the council and say, I am planning on retiring or whatever, the city attorney, I want a new one. Please help me by saying yes.
But it is just for the attorney.
Yeah, it's nobody else.
Seems to me as if these city employees should be the people's attorney.
Well, yes, he is.
But if he's the mayor's attorney, that doesn't necessarily mean he's the people's attorney.
Well, no, you're right. You're right. When I say he's the mayor's attorney, when only one person can fire you, what does that mean?
The boss.
If you're the boss, yeah. And so you're in a situation where if you do something that the council may have said, we really want this done this way. And the mayor says, I really want it done this way. Or the people say, I want it done this way. And the mayor says, we ain't gonna do it that way. We're giving some safeguard to the city attorney to be able to work for all of them rather than just one. Because he has to have secondary approval to do it. I hope that makes some sense.
Yeah, not one question.
Yeah.
West side.
Gee, whiz, I use my mouth. Oh, really? I own my beer, not pizza. That'll be better.
Carnage, get together.
Are you here for the duration? He's really making you stand for the whole thing?
That's maybe we're gonna try to grab one more person. If you don't mind sticking around, I'd like to talk to you after.
Oh, no. Oh. I put my makeup on like 12 hours ago.
Just want to ask how you thought the first night.
Oh, the first time around, okay, give me a minute. I thought to answer that question. When poor Brady interviewed me last week, I was moving my head too much. Don't let me do that. Don't let me move my head that. Yes, I'll just stare into your eyes.
Do you do the community centers, or do I keep that with me too?
Victoria around.
I mean, I've been good.
Unless there's something on the you don't want to front page.
24 episodes. I know the guardrail is one So that's it. We got into the rest of
It's half the time it's wrong.
Keep back there. Show
I'm still kind of mixed up with what's going on there. Like they were born down labor, you know, it's all the thing that makes it DOT just gets on the you know, I call off the here in the city of Kuehn, they're going to demolish the school in the heart of the neighborhood and go put one out on arterial. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
And I went back, you know, I went back, you know, when I was there was no I've seen the plastic out there. How well they zero people out there. So it wasn't set up for what's going on now.
Early in high school, he's only last after high school. Then our fires in two different parts. 50-year-old high school.
Time for another one now.
I never actually ended up in any classes. Maybe there's one and then they brought in the second I did a lot of
Still do.
Our last presentation is the Shape Places zoning ordinance. We'll show you the video and then we'll have time for some questions until 7:30 or until we're done with the questions.
Hello, I'm Jeff Schmidt with the City of Sioux Falls. I'd like to introduce you to one of the ballot items that's coming up in April. This is the ballot item that's included in regards to the zoning ordinance for the April 8th election. What is Shade Places? Shade Places is the first major update of the existing 1983 zoning ordinance. This was approved by City Council in March of 2013 with a vote of 7-0. The proposed ordinance that is going forward in April develops the places that we have in the City of Sioux Falls. Where specific places are located, such as where you live, work, shop, or go to school, how places are designed, how tall they are, how far away they are, and what the places should look like. The lighting, the parking, the trees, the signage. The city attorney's explanation of Shade Places says that a vote yes is for Shade Places to take effect, a vote no is against Shade Places taking effect. And this is how the ballot will be in April. Shade Places does not affect the Southside Walmart. The Shade Places zoning ordinance and commercial decisions at 85th and Minnesota are two separate and distinct issues. Whether Shade Places is in effect or not, a large commercial store could still be built at 85th and Minnesota Avenue. If the 1983 zoning ordinance remains in effect, the existing ordinance and the standards will be enforced. In regards to that, single-family districts allow a variety of land uses. Older residential lots need a 50-foot frontage in order to have construction on them. There are only 2 fence options, and all commercial buildings go into one commercial zoning district called the C4 Planned Commercial District. If Shade Places takes effect, the new ordinance states these standards. The new ordinance has a separation distance from residential, and the Shade Places has zoning matter. Shade Places states the zoning all on one page. There are sheets like this that show what the overlay districts are, what the requirements are, what the setbacks are, and they show it in one page. There are separation distances from single family. The standardized distances that are used in regards to residential districts. These are just some of the examples in Shade Places. Full-service restaurants have to be 250 feet away from residential land uses. Halfway houses have to be 1,000 feet away, and adult uses have to be 1,000 feet away. This is not a conditional use. There are separation distances that are required in Shade Places. Saying that zoning matters in Shade Places. The decision-making process did not change between the existing ordinance and the proposed ordinance. The public decisions are made when zoning is decided. For example, uses are decided when the area is zoned. This is still being done at Planning Commission and City Council for rezonings. However, what gets confusing are uses are designed after zoning. So again, if you think about zoning matters, that's the upfront process. Uses are decided when the area is zoned. For example, again, on the left-hand side, you can see the existing ordinance, and on the right-hand side, you can see the proposed Shade Places. The ordinance has not changed. You're still required, if you're rezoning property, to post signs on the property. You still have to notify people within 300 feet, and there's still advertisement in the public paper prior to that public hearing. Also in Shade Places, there are 5 or 6 different significant changes that we'll highlight. Shade Places makes single family. That allows construction in older residential lots. There are more fence options. Shade Places promotes more than one commercial area, requires consistent landscaping areas, and Shade Places assists with this ever-changing market. Single family means single family. The existing ordinance allows twin homes, assisted living centers, daycare centers, middle schools, group homes, and nursing homes all in a residential single-family district. Shade Places would not allow these uses in a residential single-family district. If those uses would be requested, that land would have to be rezoned and have to have public hearings. Construction on older lots. In regards to the historic preservation areas, there's going to be a district in Shade Places called Residential Historic Preservation, and all primary and accessory buildings would have to maintain the same design for that district. Also, the existing ordinance requires 50-foot lots. Now, with Shade Places, They support development within the core by allowing the construction on the existing 44-foot lots. There's more backyard fence options. The existing ordinance allows a 6-foot tall fence that has to be 10 foot back from the property line, or a 4-foot tall fence at the property line. Shade Places allows those same two options, a 6-foot fence and a 4-foot fence, plus a 5-foot tall fence, 5 foot back, staggered fences, columns on fences, and capped fences. There's additional commercial options. The existing ordinance has all the commercial within a C4 planned commercial district. However, the one thing with that is if you're doing a commercial district that has greater than 1 acre or more than 15,000 square feet, you have to go through a conditional use permit. With Shade Places, there's standards for commercial districts by size and again by impact. So a C1 district, you could only build up to 4,000 square feet. A C2 district, you could only go up to 25,000 square feet. A C3 district, you could only go up to 75,000 square feet. And then the C4 district under Shade Places would be unlimited. Required buffer yards. The buffer is the landscape area when commercial or office is adjacent to residential. The existing ordinance does not have buffer yards. With Shade Places, there's a requirement that the buffer increases as the development increases. For example, if there's a large commercial development, you may need to have a 30-foot and a 4-foot berm with 40 units, or if there's even more commercial development or office, it could be a 45-foot buffer yard with a 6-foot berm. Again, these are standard requirements within Shade Places. Now we have a changing market in regards to the city of Sioux Falls in this area. The existing ordinance has 270 different planned development districts, which are zoning classifications throughout the city of Sioux Falls. Shade Places would allow an option of mixed use or live-work districts. Mixed use is having the ability on a zoning classification to maybe have an office building above a residential area, or live-work is having in one area the ability to live and work in one zoning area. Any questions and answers that the public may have, feel free to contact the City of Sioux Falls Planning Office at the city's website at siouxfalls.org. We have information on there in regards to the meetings that were led up to putting Shade Places together. There's information in regards to the ordinance itself. There's images on there, there's examples on there, and there's background data, all in regards to Shade Places and the effective zoning ordinance. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the City of Sioux Falls and the zoning ordinance. If you have any questions or need additional information, please don't hesitate to call. Our information is here on this slide presentation about the ballot information, and also feel free to contact Jeff Schmidt at the city's Planning and Building Services Office, 367-8891. Again, thank you.
Lights. So we've gone from A, aquatics, to Z zoning in one night. And again, we have some time if you have any questions. Yes?
Yeah, the changes, or the changes in the single-family home definition, does that affect currently existing properties in residential neighborhoods?
Yes. What we would be doing if the Shade Places is adopted is that we would be using the new residential districts that would be most compatible with the existing residential zoning. So in cases where you're currently zoned RS2, let's say, which would allow single family or a lot of other conditional uses, we would look at changing that to the most appropriate new zoning district of residential, which would be more limited as far as land uses. And again, that was based on some of the public input that we had of making residential truly residential. Yeah?
That doesn't affect properties that are currently there. I mean, you have a single family or a duplex.
Right.
It's going to be there until something happens
right.
to it.
That would not affect any existing development, that's true.
And I'm sorry for following up with that.
Sure, go ahead.
But does that mean that I mean, my situation is I live in a duplex in a primarily single-family neighborhood. It's an older neighborhood.
Okay.
There are other duplexes in the neighborhood, but it's definitely a minority. House has been there for 60 years. Do I have to worry about someone filing a zoning change that would zone me out of my own property?
No, because the same thing that when we adopted the 1983 zoning ordinance, we created what we call non-conforming uses, which means that at the time that was developed, it was in conformance, but based on the new zoning districts, it would not be. But that's the grandfather clause that maybe you hear.
And by the way, I do have the appropriate variances.
Okay.
Given to,
all right.
I mean, yeah.
Well, we can look up your specific legal description if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
What does the changing market mean according to
Yeah, the changing market is that there's been discussion through our public input process and within the community about being able to encourage more mixed use concepts, whether you have mixed use in one building or mixed uses within a development area. And what we've used in the past have been more of a planned development concept. And so with Shaped Places, one of the outcomes was developing more standards and more options for mixed-use type developments. And one example would be the Lake Lorraine development that's being proposed out on West Marion Road, or the west side along Marion Road. That's being talked about as a mixed-use development. And so under our current ordinance, it was rezoned to just a commercial zoning designation. With the Shaped Places, there would be more options for that.
Which is also less protection for the homeowner too.
What's that?
Which also turns into less protection for the homeowner.
The question or the comment was that it would provide less protection for the homeowners.
You say yes, you agree with that.
Again, I think in the slideshow, what we were trying to convey is that currently the most common commercial zoning district is called C4 Plan Commercial. And so anything over 1 acre or over 15,000 square feet has to go through a conditional use. With the new Shaped Places, we would divide that commercial into 4 new commercial zoning districts that are more specific up front as far as what's going to be allowed. So at the time the property is rezoned, the property owner as well as the neighborhood would have a better understanding of what potentially is going to go on that property.
But do they have a heads up before it comes, before the zoning before it is rezoned?
No.
I have the impression that this is detrimental to the homeowner.
There would be no upfront, because we don't know until property is requested to be rezoned, even today. We don't go out and meet with neighborhoods about
No, but you
what's
meet with the
anticipated.
contractors and the developers, and they're the ones that actually get the favor out of this compared to the homeowner. Contractor gets more preferential treatment, correct?
Well, I guess I would not necessarily endorse that, because we went through a substantial amount of public input.
But it's a speed up for the contractors, and it's a speed up for the developers, and the homeowner is actually sitting much more vulnerable.
And again, I think I'll just reiterate that whether you're in a residential zoning district or a commercial zoning district, under the current process, we have a long list of what maybe could go there someday. And what we've been told is let's make that more specific up front when property is rezoned as to what's going to happen. And that's the intent of what we're trying to accomplish.
How do you line that up in your view with how it protects the homeowners?
Because it gives everybody a better understanding at the beginning of the zoning process what's going to be allowed on that property. Let's say today property is zoned residential, RD residential. I hate to use all the nomenclature, but we have one zoning category called RD. And what that means is that you could put in single family, you could put in twin homes, you could put in 3 plexes, or you could put in 4 plexes by conditional use. So all of those things could potentially go on that property. And one of the things that we run into with that is that, let's say an area that we thought was going to be 4 plexes ends up to be twin homes or even single family. So what we want to do with shaped places is make those residential and commercial zoning districts more limited, more specific as to what can go on that. And that's why we're trying to protect people.
Are you trying to also bring the trend into Sioux Falls? Sioux Falls is pretty much developed into neighborhoods, as I understand it. And are you trying to make it so that we can come in and put more commercial in different spots, which just seems to be the trend right now? Open up spots for more individual commercial in these neighborhoods, and which would at some point in time be detrimental to some of those homeowners.
Also in the video, we talked about our comprehensive plan, which is our 2035 plan. By state law, zoning has to be in conformance with a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a citywide guide for land use decisions. And that comprehensive plan was also adopted by the city council prior to the zoning ordinance that we use now. So prior to the shaped places zoning ordinance being adopted. So the comprehensive plan is what we use as a guide for making land use decisions. And that's been the case since, decades. Yes?
So if I'm understanding this, basically in the original hearing that you discussed, rezoning, there'd be a decision ahead of time what would go there and what wouldn't go there. And there are about 4 different types of commercial businesses classifications. So ahead of time, a neighborhood can decide, we don't want a business the size of Walgreens or any other similar businesses in our neighborhood. So we're going to say, we don't want this rezoning. After they say, we don't want that, and if the city council agrees, then nothing in that neighborhood can ever be built the size of Walgreens in that category, right? So it takes away the, well, what about Walgreens? Okay, well, what about this other business the size of Walgreens that isn't Walgreens? It's more of a generalized yes or no up front rather than the neighborhood having to battle every little business that comes in. Is that?
Okay, under the current zoning ordinance that we're using today, for commercial development, once the property is zoned commercial, which is, again, our typical C4 plan commercial is what we use. If you want to put up a 25,000 square foot building or a 100,000 square foot building, you have to go through a conditional use hearing. And with shaped places, what we're saying is that let's make those decisions at the time the property is zoned rather than after the fact, so that if property is currently zoned agriculture and a developer is coming in wanting to put in commercial uses, let's talk about should it be 15,000 square foot buildings or 100,000 square foot buildings, and let's make that decision at the time the property is zoned to commercial rather than doing it later on through a conditional use permit process. Does that answer your question?
Is that zoning that you decided based on the footprint of the property?
Yes.
Okay, so the bigger the property, the bigger the C1, 2, 3.
Well, it's based on what the proposed land uses are going to be on that property. It's based on a development plan that we would look at. So if the property is 10 acres or 100 acres, you would be looking at, okay, what's proposed to be on that 10 acres or on that 100 acres, and let's look at the zoning, what's the appropriate zoning based on the proposed development and based on the proposed location. And that's what you would do through the public hearing process. This is great, we get to talk about zoning. So, it is 7:30. Again, if you have any more questions, we'll stick around for a while, but just to remind you, you're surely welcome to attend these other presentations. You can take one of the brochures on your way out, and this information is on the city website as well. So thank you for your attendance tonight.